Hello folks, welcome to another episode of Alamo Wealth Builders. You're in my backyard. And today we're going to go over another week of quarantine news. And so last week we had discussed some of the fake media hype using, other media data. And I think it's actually AI driven to kind of corroborate these whole numbers and, speculation and shutdown and all this kind of craziness that's going on. And then we had Grant Cardone, of course, coming out being a fraud. So this week we're going to be talking about the elephant in the room, oil. 2 weeks ago, I had kind of gone over how my oil speculation was the fact that even though, yes, America, Russia, and Saudi Arabia are coming up to an agreement which would then help push the expectations of oil to go up, storage was a big problem. And the fact that nobody in the entire world really, transportation is down, I think, 1/3 what it used to be. That's a huge drop when you have actual oil barrels that are just sitting there. And so oil is traded in futures. And a lot of people just don't know what they're buying, and you got to know what you're buying. So when you're buying futures with this oil, you're actually speculating a month in advance what it's going to be. And so you're buying and you're holding that contract. And so that's why this huge rush out, spiking down to the -36 or whatever it was, that's why that happened, is because they don't want to be holding actual barrels of oil of these futures contracts. So, but I've been telling people, use the UCO and SCO, use those to your benefit. So if price and speculation for storage and all that is negative, that means that your UCO is going to go down, and then if you're going to go down on UCO, SCO is going to go up. It's the short. So short the market when you know that its speculation is going to hit the market downwards. Next is a soft topic that I want to talk about. Nova Scotia just had a mass shooting that about 3 days ago, I think, and the media really didn't even talk about it until it became a really big thing. They were like, I guess we'll talk about it. Canada already has strict gun laws, and Justin Trudeau is trying to push for even more strict gun laws. So my heart goes out to those, I think, 22 casualties now. And it just, this whole media and active online presence is really pushing all of this stuff that's been a natural phenomenon since Wild West days, where people bandits would go into town and slaughter entire towns. This is just, it's commonplace. But because we live in a much, much, much more safe society than we did even 100 years ago, now when you see these mass shootings and 20 people dead, it's alarm bells like, oh my God, this should not be happening. And it's true, it should not be happening. But it's just, you have to look at the real data, and you have to look at, who was this person? How did he get access to this? And should we really take the weapons away from people that are just using it to defend themselves? And we should create strict gun laws that only create loopholes for people that are savvy enough or criminally destitute to go get guns somewhere else, and then that way they have access that way, but yet law-abiding people do not have access. You got to think of this stuff. Stimulus round 2. Round 2 is actually already getting passed through the Senate. We have verbal approval, and by now we should have written approval, but except for unclassy businesses like I think casinos and weed companies and things like that. They're writing a stipulation basically saying that you need not apply. So that's sucks. And then free mortgage and rent. Have you seen this? This is crazy. So another idea was that we'd give people $2,000 per month. Everybody gets $2,000 per month for 6 months, and then they'd find out if it's still necessary, and then they'd extend for another 6 months after that. But then they found a cheaper way, was just people wouldn't have to pay their mortgages and people wouldn't have to pay rent. Now, I would very much like to not pay my mortgage, but if people are not paying rent, I mean, my rent, I'm cash flowing every month. So I'm actually losing money by being able to not pay my mortgage, but my tenant's not paying their rent. There's that delta that I'm missing out on. And on top of that, it just doesn't make sense. There's a whole just wide berth of just craziness that, why should somebody that's up in a penthouse paying $20,000 a month not have to pay, but yet older people to have a house they only owe like 2 years left on their mortgage, and it's all principal, no interest, or hardly any interest. Why would they only get the interest forgiven? I mean, it just, there's a lot of balancing that just doesn't make sense on applying this. So I really don't think that that's going to pass. So going on to the last thing, monetizing your skills. Now is the time for you guys to be learning how to monetize skills. And what do I mean by that? Yeah, you can pick up baking, but baking really isn't a skill. It's not an essential skill right now. What about sewing? All these masks. 3 or 4 of my neighbors that I know right now are learning how to sew, and they've sewn over 300, 400 masks. And they've sold the masks off for only $2 each. They could have sold them off for $10 each right now. But they sold them off to $2 each just to help people get some masks. But that's a monetized skill. What about trading? If you learn how to trade right now, the market is extremely volatile. And that's great for day traders because they can take advantage of the upswings and the downswings. What about crypto? What about IT? Things like this, automation, robotics, AI, all these different driven industries that are going to be still very useful in the future, medical, So learn skills that are going to be beneficial for you to monetize come when the market starts to improve again. And then also think about disparaged assets. So you have a lot of food, like a lot of my friends own food trucks, and they're already feeling the hurt because they can't do anything, can't go out. And so I know one of them is actually looking to sell his food truck right now. There's going to be a lot of companies, cruise ships, a lot of cruise companies are taking a hit, and so they're going to have to alleviate some of that debt by maybe selling off some of their cruise ships. So that'd be a great opportunity for when the market starts to upswing again, for some smaller businesses to come in, get the capital they need to go and buy maybe 1 or 2 of these cruise ships and start their own cruise line. What about starting your own food trucks? You can now go buy all these pre-created food trucks that are already set up, ready to go. Go buy half a dozen of them, create a business, and then there you go. You've got a nice little food truck business that you've started, all for pennies on the dollar compared to what they were just 2 years ago. So just learning how to use disparaged assets, think about that and plan for the future, and create skills that are you can monetize. That's all I had for this week. All right, hopefully you guys enjoy.